Hi, welcome back to Mountain Gym Card Collectibles. Hope you had a great weekend. New Year's Day is almost here. So today I want to talk about a big deal. And that was a big deal last month. A big sales deal, I should say. And it happened to be the sale of the 2021 Panini Absolute KABOOM Green 1 of 1 Tom Brady card that sold for a record-setting $660,000. And the card was a PSA 8, big deal. I even pulled it up on Google Gemini AI overview. So you can see for yourself, like it says. The most expensive KABOOM card ever sold is a 2021 Absolute Tom Brady Green KABOOM 1 of 1. Which set a record by selling for $660,000 in November 2025 at Fanatics Collect. This unique, one-of-a-kind card featuring Brady in his Patriots uniform surpassed previous high sales for KABOOM inserts, including the Lionel Messi Gold KABOOM and other top-tier cards from LeBron James and Caitlin Clark. Yeah, this is a big sale. And if you chase inserts, the KABOOM is about as good as it gets, I don't know what it is about Topps inserts, but no one's ever really cared about Topps inserts. They're just garbage straight out of the printer in my eyes. Some of them look nice, but they just don't seem to draw the attraction of a lot of collectors. Collectors love these KABOOMs. They love these downtowns. So, anyway. And, the big news about this sale isn't so much of the sale itself, it's the fact that the buyer, whoever the buyer is, I couldn't find out who the buyer is, decided to take it out of its PSA 8 graded slab and regraded it with tag and has a tag 9. And a lot of people are scratching their heads on this issue. Why would they do this? Well, if you know my channel, I'm not the biggest fan of PSA. To be honest, yes, I've purchased plenty of PSA slabs in my lifetime. I do like the protection that the slabs offer overall, but they don't really offer a lot of protection from UV and sunlight. So I'm always having to put stuff, in my dark drawers, whatever, dark areas. And as far as tag slabs go, I know that, they break really easily, they can crack, really easily because tag doesn't want people to be able, to mess with the slabs, pull the cards out, put new ones in, whatever. And so I'm always a little nervous about tag slabs for that matter because, when you put your card in a slab, it really needs to be protected. And say where I live, I have vinyl flooring. I have dropped PSA slabs on this floor, and they seem to survive. There's no cracks in the slab. They're doing good. I just don't know if a tag slab would survive a fall on hard vinyl floor, a tile floor, whatever. That's just it. And I'm not sure if the card could be damaged as well, when it falls to the ground or floor or whatever. I'll just read what it says here. This comes from Best Cards Ever. This is an X post that was put up on December 26th. The Tom Brady 2021 Absolute KABOOM Green 1 of 1 sold for a record-setting $660,000 as a PSA 8, the most expensive KABOOM ever. It's since been regraded and is now a tag 9. What do you think it sells for today in this slab? Well, I'll be honest, I like the way it looks. It's a really nice looking slab. It really brings out the colors of the card. I like the design, because I'm burned out of that old, PSA sticker that they always throw on top. I've seen that forever. I just wish that, PSA could redesign their slabs, so they look classier, because I have to, give tag credit to where I'm just going to say it. And I know this might piss off a lot of people, but I tend to believe that this card looks better in a tag slab than it would in a PSA slab. I'm just saying that. I put out all my opinions on protection. I don't believe that the tag slab is going to protect the card as well. But overall, The slab looks better to me than a PSA slab. So I'm just saying that. All right, so let's get into some of these comments. No way that's real. Unless the tag company itself bought the card and reslabbed. No one is that stupid. Now, I'm not sure who the buyer is. Now, I suppose it's very possible that Tag could have purchased this card. You just never know in today's market. But I don't know. I just don't see him doing that. Who the F would ruin this card by sending it to Gag? You know, I mean, there's a lot of trolls for Tag cards. I have been kind of a Tag troll. But the thing is I'm looking at Tag and CGC a lot differently now because PSA is just such a massive grading monopoly that you have to look elsewhere, you know. I think it's great people are leaving PSA. CGC just graded 200 cards for me from time I shipped to them. Received and to time return was only 21 days standard service. Meanwhile, I paid extra for PSA card and Beckett Collect grading services for quicker turnaround times. And they are still months behind. You know, and some people are just burned out of sending in cards to PSA and waiting and waiting and waiting, you know. So, you know, maybe CGC Tag wins in that department, you know, because, you know, PSA gets so many cards every month. So, you know, maybe that's the thing to do. Les, laugh out loud. Nobody wants a Tag slab. Well, let's see what the reply is for that one. They definitely should. So, you know, when you get in these comments, it's almost a 50-50 take on people liking Tag over PSA and people stomping on Tag, you know, and loving PSA, you know. Now, slab to slab, I've said it before. Why do I prefer a PSA slab? It's for the protection. You know, I mean, if you drop it on a hard floor, the PSA slab seems to survive. I just don't know about the Tag slab. Now worth $400,000. Yeah. So this person believes they just cut it basically a third off of the price tag because they put in a different slab. I don't know with this card, though. I mean, this card, when I look at, I'm not the biggest Tom Brady fan. You know, I mean, I'm not chasing Tom Brady cards for the most part. Even though they call him the GOAT. But I still think it's an awesome card to look at. Why in the world would you take that out of a PSA slab? Well, let's just see what the replies are. No doubt Tag 9 sells for less than the PSA 8, you know. I'm not sure why everyone has PSA embedded in their brain. Like, if it's not in a PSA slab that aren't even that good looking, then it loses all its value. The Tag slab looks way better anyway. Who cares? It's his card regardless, and you ain't spending $700,000 on it, so why you care? That's just it, you know. I mean, everyone has an opinion in this game. I mean, and that's about all collectors can do anymore is have opinions because everything's getting to be so expensive. This one, Tag is greater than PSA. Because PSA has random humans grading cards, and humans make a lot of errors. Also, depending on their mood, mental state, and feelings of a certain player could play into effect of a grade, good or bad. They don't have a grading school to get a degree. And that's just it, you know. I know Tag hypes up, you know, the way that they grade, you know, through various forms of technology. You know, that's better than having like a human grade it. You know, I suppose you can go with that. He's doing God's work. Someone's got to keep those PSA graders honest. Yeah, that's just it. You know, I do think this is really a slap in the face for PSA. You know, it really is. You can't say it's not. FPSA, incoherent, manipulative, monopolistic business model. Yeah, I mean, I'll say it again. PSA doesn't really feel like a grading company anymore. They feel like a company who just wants to make as much money as they can by doing a lot of things that a lot of people do not agree with, including me. You know, like offering to buy cards from people who just have their cards graded. I mean, it's just such a bad look. You know, I mean, to me, that's where the federal government needs to get involved in grading companies because there's just a lot of obvious chicanery going on here. Is this satire? Some people might believe that. I mean, why would you ever do this? You know, especially with a high-valued card. Well, that's because PSA is really changing, and a lot of people are just looking at them a lot differently nowadays than they used to. I mean, I'll be honest. I look at PSA like they're kind of like big scumbags. I mean, can't say they're not. I mean, a lot more. PSA sucks. They just scared to actually find out the real grade, not just resubmit back to PSA 5 times to get the grade they want. Yeah, and that's another issue I have with grading. It's all the gaming of grading. It's like, oh well, we didn't get a PSA 10 this time. Let's break it out of the slab and send it again. And then we didn't get a PSA 10 this time. Let's break it out of the slab and send it again. And the issue I have, like my recent video with Logan Paul, is you look at that card that he's wearing around his neck, this big 1998 Japanese promo Pokemon Pikachu Illustrator card, and it has damage on the card. You can see it on the back side of the card. It's the back side top right corner clearly has damage, and you ask yourself, how did it get to be a PSA 10, even though that grade, card had been graded numerous times as a PSA 9? Well, something happened, and that's the problem with grading, is the gaming of grading. $500,000 of lucky. Gorgeous card, but previous sale was peak value. I would kind of expect it to be peak value to an extent because it's an insert card. It's not like a rookie insert card either, It is a nice card, I mean, people love these kabooms. That's just it. Best looking slab in the business. And that's why I said, I mean, it's like the comments are 50-50 or 50% of people are loving it, 50% of people are hating it. Good on this collector. Look at all the jealous idiots in the comments who want to gatekeep how people collect their cards. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of gatekeepers in this hobby who are always telling people how to live their lives. I have dealt with so many trolls telling me how to run my channel. I don't know what it is about the gatekeepers in this hobby. They're always trying to tell people how to live their lives, and I just don't agree, Straight up dumbass. Whoever sent it to tag, you just lost money. Well, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Some people believe they did, some people believe they didn't. Overall, I do feel like it does look better in a tag slab than the PSA. I don't understand why PSA can't make their slabs and their, stickers look better, The card is more famous now than it was before. Is it better? It doesn't matter. If one day tag becomes king after PSA falls, how much is this card worth then? A great story adds value. What's your best card story? Yeah, I mean, great point. So, there's a lot of people making fun of it. Why would you do this? I know there's just going to be so much anger and resentment towards the PSA monopoly that, people are just looking for, any way to escape. And, I suppose if you go to a different grading company, that's going to change PSA. It's if more and more people start doing it, because that's the only way we can change this hobby is if you keep letting the monopoly call all the shots, take all your cabbage, they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep playing games, I mean, I've said before, I've always felt that when you grade at PSA, it's more about who you are than the card itself. And to me, that doesn't make sense. Now, I can't prove that. I know that's been talked about a lot in this hobby, that when you grade at PSA, you have to have a big name. You have to be a big influencer, kind of like, the way that Tots Fanatics likes to shill out their products to breakers over, consumers, at least the best of the best products anyway. The burnout of PSA is there, and whoever purchased this card, obviously they're not a big fan of PSA either. So anyway, how do you feel about this? Do you believe the card reached peak value? Like, some people believe, I kind of do. I mean, it is the most expensive Kaboom ever sold. But then again, it is a beautiful card, of the GOAT. So there's just a lot to this card out there, whether it's the grading, the card itself, the fact it was a PSA 8, that's now a Tag 9. I tend to believe that if you dropped it on a hard floor, what would happen with the tag? That's just it. 'Cause I've said before, I have dropped PSA slabs on my vinyl floor and they survive. They're fine. I mean, they're okay. Would the tag slab survive? That's the big question. But either way, I think it's great that you're going to start to see probably more and more people pulling away from PSA in future years because of their big monopoly and all their gaming of the system, So I like that. So anyway, how do you feel about this? Leave some comments. I'd like to thank my subscribers. You're awesome. You're the reason I keep doing these episodes because I'm still not monetized. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you're a viewer, just click the subscription button. It's 100% free, and I can continue to improve the channel and possibly get monetized, which would definitely make this channel better. Anyway, if you have a great day, I'm out of here. Bye.